There's your intro. Now, shut up. Well, let's see what's on the agenda for today. Let's take a look on the YouTube. Oh, okay. We got a nice one here. Leo DS, criticizing the YouTuber Rags and talking about the gaming community. Well, I am indeed both Rags and part of the gaming community, so let's just delve in and see what we have. Leo DS, 399 videos, 139 subscribers. I'm not going to bother telling you anything about Leo DS, really. I think everything will become self-evident that's worth mentioning as we proceed. Yes, I know, 399 videos, 139 subs. He's a tiny YouTuber, and obviously his content isn't very good if he works that many videos and gets that many people who want to be updated whenever he posts new content. You may be saying, oh, here goes Rags going after someone who only has 139 subs. Well, I don't care how many subscribers you have. And you may be saying, oh, well, Rags is only going after the low-hanging fruit of this community. Well, sometimes in this community, the only fruit there is the low-hanging fruit. And I know a lot about hanging low because, of course, I have a massive cock. No, you can't see it. It's mine. It's special. A while back, Cyrus Martin did a video called The Truth about consoles versus PC gaming. And as you can tell from the like and dislike ratio, maybe not everybody thought the things that were said in the video were the best things to have been said by the participants. I will, however, say this. Between Cyrus Martin and Leo DS, the sole two participants of this discussion, I will say that Cyrus Martin somehow managed to be the better half. Which is strange considering Leo DS was the one who apparently was taking the position of the PC defense, which is strange. It was a position I find him incredibly unqualified to do, and I was overall very displeased with the way he went about his PC defense. Being displeased with the participants, the arguments made, and the defenses propped up for each individual platform, I clicked the thumbs down and I laughed. Leo DS seemed very upset that people didn't like the stream, and he did write the comment, 5 thumbs down. I would like to know why. Any poor arguments made, or is this just bigotry and trolling? Now, let's take a moment out of our day to address this, because it's kind of making me irked. I think this is a problem in this gaming community on YouTube, especially among fanboys and their ilk. NextGen 720, The Mooch, Cyrus Martin, Leo DS, let me see who else, Titanfall Princess, JTech TV, especially JTech TV. You can justify basically anything by just throwing up your hands and burying your face in the sand and saying, oh, well, they're only trolling. People who dislike my stuff are trolls. If someone doesn't like the things I do, if someone doesn't like my content, if someone disagrees with me, they're just trolling. That is, for instance, how JTech TV justifies his Gestapo-level moderation on his channel. People send me screenshots all the time of how JTech or Crap Gamer or Titanfall Princess has blocked them from Twitter or on YouTube or on some other social media platform because they challenged their ideas, tried to start a debate, tried to bring up a good point, or attempted to make even the slightest of criticisms. This is something that really bugs me in this community, and it is part of the reason, for instance, why all of these console fanboy channels are so small and have always been small and will continue to remain very, very small with very, very little growth, if at all. It just bothers me that so many people are so ready to so easily and with the tiniest of provocations, or just because they may be following me on Twitter, that justifies their banning and blocking. People tell me that they have been blocked from JTech TV on Twitter, and they haven't even mentioned JTech. They just happen to be following me. This community is full of cowards. It's full of fools. It's full of unintelligent, unintellectual, unsophisticated Neanderthals, some of whom freely admit to spending part-time jobs worth of hours every week on defending pieces of plastic and multi-million-dollar corporations. It's full of people who are so foolish and so devoid of self-awareness they cannot see that they are their own worst detriment. Corporate slave channels like Mooch and Crap Gamer and Iron Wolf and NextGen 720, JTech TV, all these people, they are not intelligent enough to understand that every time they make a video, they are driving people away from the things that they make personal attempts to defend. But moving on. LeoDS's first thing to say is, I don't understand why people are disliking the video. He wants to know why. Any poor arguments made? Or is it just bigotry and trolling? Again, in the same breath, bigotry and trolling. Totally possible. He asks for evidence. He asks for some reasons. I give him a few. Now, since I had come back to the comments section quite a while after actually watching the video, I couldn't just pull things out of my head of why I disliked it. I did remember, though, that I did dislike it. Either way, apparently LeoDS thinks that if you thumb down a video, it's your obligation to explain in the comments why, and quite frankly, some of us just don't have that kind of time every time we thumb a video down. In any event, LeoDS continues, and I eventually decide this small YouTuber isn't worth my time. And apparently I'm not worth his time either. Which is strange considering he made an hour-long video of mine. In fact, I did do a Twitter post about this some of you might recognize. So let's address this criticism by LeoDS, a man who we all will almost certainly soon agree thinks he's far smarter than he actually is. His video is long, so I'll try to trim out whatever I can, but don't expect this to be a short one. So grab your booze, grab your popcorn, grab anything you need to enjoy yourself. It's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Well, hello YouTube, I am LeoDS, and today...
Before we go any further, look, I'm not the best mixer of audio levels. I'll admit that before anybody else, absolutely, but you're gonna have to bear with me on this one. His video's audio is all over the place, so look, mea culpa. I know. I only want to put so much effort into these things.
I want to talk a little bit about some YouTube drama, and talk a little bit to Rags about his the stuff he does.
Because I've changed my mind. Now Rags is worth my time.
And use this as an opportunity to talk again about...
Again? Dear Lord.
You know, PC versus console, and so I'm using as a basis this video that some very small YouTuber made, and now he got 10 times bigger because of this video.
Again, I don't care how small you are. I don't care how big you are. Size doesn't matter. What matters is what comes out of your mouth, the things that you say, your ideas. I don't care if you have 9 subscribers. I don't care if you have 900,000. I've gone after bigger channels. Have I made channels grow because of videos that I have done on them? Absolutely I have. Look at Punky J. Look at Aussie Man. It's just a side effect.
And it's a video, you know, criticizing Rags and his channel and how he talks about things, criticizing Rags for being anti-consoles. Rags kind of claims he's not, but...
No, I am anti-console. Yeah, I am anti-console. I am pro-PC. I'm not anti-console gamer, though.
At the same time, like, he's so adamant in stating everything he can that's a negative of consoles and everything he can that's a positive of PC.
Yes, again, I am pro-PC and I am anti-console, alright? The big difference, though, between me and a lot of other people here on YouTube is that I don't think you're Hitler if you play on console. I just think that you made the lesser of your two options.
So, it's certainly an impression that he will leave on people.
Well, yeah, duh. I want to leave an impression on people. I want to change people's minds. I want people to come to my side of thinking.
And it's hard to fault anyone for that impression.
Well, yeah, you got a guy like me who's charismatic, handsome, witty, charming, attractive, clever, great in bed. Oh, I mean, you can blame me.
But I'll go into the video specifically, and the video I'm playing now is on Rag's channel, because it's a response video he made.
So basically we're dealing with a PC gamer, and when I say that, I mean the worst kind.
The kind that's always right, the kind that always backs up what he says with facts, graphs, statistics, information, sources. People say, oh, you're biased against the PC. And I'm like, I just follow the information. It's kind of hard not to be biased for the PC when you look at the facts.
Now, when you think of a gamer who...
So, It's interesting.
Nervous laughter.
I've, you know, it's a hyperbole when Reg says that he's always right.
Or is it? Yes, it is.
But then again, like he really said in a way where it's hard to pick up that he doesn't really mean that.
Well, is it a hyperbole or isn't it? Make up your mind. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, now, it's clear that what he says in a hyperbole is a hyperbole here, but, I mean, he says it in a way where, like, it's not, but it is, but it kinda isn't, but it sort of is, not kinda.
And obviously, he's not always right.
Then it's a hyperbole, obviously.
This is obvious. But what I mean is not someone will think that he's always right, but someone might actually think he believes that he's always right.
Okay, who cares? Does it change the message of my videos? No, it doesn't. Whether people think it's a hyperbole or not is irrelevant. It's a non-issue.
And um, making a video when you defend yourself against criticism from another person when you're using this kind of.
You know, I don't even think I'd call this video a defensive video. This is a video that I found where someone made such a pathetic attempt to get at me that I felt that I would just use them in the same way I use other people. I would take the things that they say, use it for my own gain, for the entertainment of my subscribers. I don't think I felt the need at any point to defend my honor or defend my reputation.
Of vocabulary, or when you're expressing yourself this way, it's very easy to be misinterpreted.
So far, all you've said is I might be misinterpreted as being too overconfident. Oh no.
Now, it's also very, very easy to give a completely.
You know, it's about at this point I'm starting to feel like you're talking down to me in terms of how I behave on the internet. Let me also remind you that you are not in a position to be talking down to me. I don't think I need to explain to even you just how high and just how far you are punching upwards with this video. And in terms of attitudes, I think that the successes of our channels speak for themselves.
Wrong impression, or at the very least to give a very negative impression of yourself when you do this kind of stuff.
Well, seeing as you don't know me, you really aren't in a position to be telling people whether or not I'm giving anybody the wrong impression. I could be giving people a perfectly accurate impression of how I am, and I like to think that's exactly what I'm doing. Maybe I just have a winning personality. Couple that with a good voice, a confident personality, and content that centers around things people actually want to watch, we might have a winning combination here. That might explain the, 85,000 subs.
So I'd be careful about that kind of thing. But I want to keep going.
Be careful or what? Be careful that I might be giving an accurate impression of how I am? Well, I've got, 105 videos after you take away the part 2s and 3s I've had to do. 85,000 subscribers. I don't put out that much content. It's simple. I haven't spent a dime on this channel. What exactly am I supposed to be careful of? That some people might misinterpret my attitude? Who cares if people misinterpret my attitude? Let them think what they wish.
I want to go back to this later. So Reg said he always backs up everything he says with data, facts, statistics, graphs, images, links, whatever.
Well, if you look at all my videos as a whole, yes, that's basically the case. Not every single individual video will have every single thing that I ever say backed up by an accompanying graph, or a piece of data, or a statistic, or a quote. If I was constantly doing the exact same thing and presenting the exact same information over and over, it would feel repetitive. I have to keep things fresh in some way. Not just for my subs, but for me.
So I want you to remember that when the time comes.
This isn't a gotcha moment that you think it is, alright? I'm trying to explain to you the realities of actually making content.
Not a certain console, just enjoy playing games. But Rags here seems to dislike the console market, going as far as to say that the console gives you terrible visuals, watered down performance, and overall is a bad idea and should be stopped.
What do you mean going so far as to say the console gives you terrible visuals? And of course you have watered down performance. They're extremely weak systems who are not capable of a lot of graphical power. And while I don't think it should be stopped because consumers should have the choice to choose whatever... Right, the air going in and out of your nostrils is louder than the dialogue of the video that we're supposed to be listening to. Just pointing that out. Whatever they want, I do think overall, not having these exclusive-based closed platforms would be what is overall best for the marketplace, the community, and the consumers.
Okay, so many things in one. But the first thing is the one that kind of bothers me.
As much as my attitude, or less, or...
What do you mean? I go as far as say that the consoles have terrible graphics.
Alright, from the perspective of someone who plays games on a PC, the console graphics look terrible. Oh, I gotta throw in my hashtag not all console games. Some of them look decent, some of them look good, some of them. But these are the exceptions, and they are not the rule.
This is a big problem here because good and bad the graphics are subjective.
Oh, sure, there's a subjective level to saying, do console graphics have good or bad quality to them? But that is why I often bring up the fact that we have measurable benchmarks for how things look, things like resolution. We can count pixels. We can have things that are measurable like anti-aliasing, which not even all console games have at all. And on some games it's locked, regardless of how it looks. It only took me seconds to find this list on the PlayStation forums to give you some examples of games and their locked, often anti-aliasing settings. Even things like anisotropic filtering, which is that definition there. It basically, in layman's terms, gives you clarity out of black angles. Well, black's not a layman term. Look at the picture. The top's here, where the image on the right has trilinear and the one on the right has anisotropic filtering. It's much more clear. It is objectively better the clearer that the image is. And in regards to anisotropic filtering, if you just a little bit of research, find this article on Eurogamer called Digital Foundry vs. Console Texture Filtering. Now, in this article, Digital Foundry actually speaks with a developer whose name is Polish, and he's the lead engine programmer at Flying Wild Hog. They made Shadow Warrior, which is a really good game. It's got lots of dick jokes in there. Now, Mr. Candy Crush Baba Ganoush says, AF times 4 usually gives the best bang for your buck. You get quite good texture filtering and save some time for other features. Blah, 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 blah. Now, he also says at the end, again, it's about best bang for the buck and using extra time for other, more important features, like rock solid 30 FPS. Which is a joke, of course, to anyone who plays on the PC. Rock solid 30 FPS. So yes, we can hem-haw around all day about subjective this, subjective that. But there are objective ways, like anisotropic filtering and whatnot, that we can use to see that PC affords you more options because it can do those things, period. The PC has better graphics than the console. End of story.
Right. And even though I agree that the consoles are very entry-level in terms of hardware,
there's nothing entry-level about it. The hardware is weak. We're 3.5 years into this generation, and already you've got Battlefield 1 at 720p. And God knows if it could maintain 60 FPS. My money's on no. Titanfall 2 is going to be 720p on the Xbox One. Again, is this 2005? It's 2016, and we have all the technology we have, and consoles are still running new games at 720p?
and that they are not capable of very high technological level of visuals.
Depends what you mean by very high. There can be pretty games on the consoles, but normally this comes with the incredible sacrifice of frame rate. That, of course, makes the gameplay worse.
I also believe that it's ludicrous to say that a game like Uncharted 4 looks bad.
Again, there are exceptions to the rule. No one says Uncharted 4 looks bad. However, it's impossible for someone in their right mind to say it wouldn't look far better on the PC.
Right? And but even other games. I think the PlayStation 4 is actually very powerful, and the Xbox One also.
Really, Leo? Really? You think the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One are very powerful? Like, what are we comparing this to? An N64? Stonehenge? Fallout 4 can't even maintain 30 FPS. 30 FPS on the consoles. You've got 720p games at Battlefield 1, Titanfall 2 running on the Xbox One. Right? Do those things say powerful? Does that scream very powerful to you? Consoles are anything but powerful. Their luxuries are the PC's minimums.
Their system with a very cheap price tag, which is the reason why they are what they are.
Cheap is what they are. They are price cheap because their hardware is cheap. Either way, don't you think it's odd to use that kind of logic? This dildo is purple, soft to the touch, and phallus shaped. That's the reason it is what it is. No, that's not how logic works, Leo. You can't use an object's description as a reason for itself. It does no.
And these systems, they're able to do more than enough.
According to who? Not to me. That's why I don't play them. Not to a lot of PC gamers. That's why we don't play those weak consoles, because they don't do more than enough. They do less than the minimum. How horrible does a game have to run? How crappy does a game have to look before you'll say, that's the average, or that's the bare minimum? 640p 30 FPS? 720p 30 FPS? What's the bottom line for you? To where you'll call consoles very powerful and more than enough.
Right?
Right?
Now, I have a strong criticism against the 30 frames per second that they implement in first-person games. That doesn't work very well on third-person games usually.
But consoles are very powerful. They shouldn't be at 30 FPS. Isn't that what you said, that they are able to do more than enough?
In my opinion, it's fine. But for third person, it's really for first person, it's really not that good of an idea.
Well, then why don't they just make it 60 FPS? After all, they're more powerful than they need to be. They're very powerful, in fact.
But this is not a problem of the platforms, as we say all the time about PCs. Like, poor optimization is not a problem of the platform, it's a problem of the developers, which is actually not really true, but...
Well, if it's not true, then why did you say it? What you said here, before you said it wasn't true, is that when these games don't run as well as they should, it's not the fault of the platform. Well, the platform is a weak platform, and there's only so much you could do with the hardware in an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. So when your games are running at 30 FPS, it's because they have weak hardware, and that is the platform's fault. Optimization is not this magical, ethereal force that you can just bestow onto hardware and make it do technological miracles.
Partially it is. So 30 frames per second is not a problem of the consoles, it's a problem of how the games are being programmed.
No, Leo, you're wrong. You're dead wrong. It is a problem of the console that a lot of these games are running 30 FPS, and many of them sub 30 FPS. Fallout 4 runs pretty well on my computer. Even on the more powerful PS4, Fallout 4 experiences many frame drops below 30 FPS, and it still looks like garbage. Look it up, Digital Foundry, perhaps you've heard of them. I don't know if we're going to get into optimization again, but I have a feeling we just might. You can't say that weak hardware isn't the biggest player in why a lot of these games run piss poorly. It is. The developers play a role, yes. Do the ports play a role? Yes. Does their ability to optimize play a role? Yes. But at the end of the day, you're still working with intensely weak systems that can just only do so much. Optimization isn't some magic force that turns lead into gold.
Because obviously the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, they can do 1080p 60 frames per second if they reduce the amount of effects.
Exclusives, because, PC doesn't have exclusives at all.
On the weak, outdated hardware of consoles. It is almost exclusively PCs that are responsible for pushing gaming technology forwards. This is done almost entirely through exclusives made for PC that do not have to take the lowest common denominator, which is usually consoles, into mind. I want as many exclusives that are on the PC to be brought to consoles so that... Again, the sound of you breathing through your nose is louder than the commentary. the developers can be supported so that the vast majority of gamers can enjoy the games that I enjoy. I would never say I don't want someone else to play games I enjoy unless their hardware physically couldn't run it. There are enough merits of the PC to where we don't need exclusives as yet another reason why it's superior.
Okay. So here we have a first thing. I want you to remember that Regs already said in the beginning that he always backs up what he said with facts and links, images, statistics. Yet he claimed that with the weak hardware of the new consoles, only the PC pushes technologies in gaming forward. I would like to have some kind of link, reference, statistic, or whatever about that one.
All right, Leo, before I go and get them and show you, right? I don't have them right now. I know they exist, so I'm just going to go fetch them in a moment. I want you to stop and ask yourself, is anything that I said seemingly untrue? Do you think common sense should dictate, especially in the recent history of video games, that PC technology is what's driving games forward? Let's just give this a smell test here when I say that PC is responsible for these advancements. And as has been said before on every single YouTube comment since Jesus Christ was on his high school football team, games are made on the PC. This is a huge facet of this part of the argument. Games are created on the PC. Everything that you play on that Xbox, that PlayStation, that Nintendo, it was developed and created on the PC. Every bit of texture, every weapon, every item, every character, every mechanic, everything exists because of the PC. When games are made on PC, and you know games are made on PC, and you still somehow cannot draw the lines between, all games are created on the PC, and yet I can't understand or come up with reasons why PCs lead development of game technology. Maybe that makes you an utter fool. Who knows? But let's proceed. I'm not done. Let's take VR, virtual reality. Do we owe consoles for this development in gaming? No. The HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, these things exist because of the PC. They were designed, created, tested, and existed first on the PC. This is an entire type of gaming that was created through the PC. Its inception, its existence is owed to the PC, not a console. But you're the one who asked for links, so let's take a look at the 4 links that I did show you. Then we'll take a look at your rejection of those links afterwards. The first link is to GameSpot on a forum post. Fable 3 lead designer Josh Atkins admits that the game was designed to be easy for a console audience. Quote, on Fable from the beginning, I can remember sitting in a room with Peter Molyneux and him being very explicit with me that, I believe the direct quote, if I remember correctly, was, I want a blind child to be able to win this game with their feet. And I played Fable 3, and that sounds about right. In the same post, consoles are holding PC games back, says DICE. Battlefield developer DICE have said that they believe consoles are holding back the development of PC games. In an interview with GeForce.com, executive producer on Battlefield 3, Patrick Bach, said, most games are actually still based on the same core idea that the consoles are your focus, the superior platform or something. I don't know why. That was the truth 5 years ago, but the world has moved on. He goes on to say, so for our target of what we want to hit, we are now using the more powerful platform to try and prove what we can see gaming being in the future, rather than using the lowest common denominator. Instead of developing it for the consoles and then just adding higher resolution textures and anti-aliasing for the PC version. We're doing it the other way round. We start with the highest end technology that we can come up with and then scale it back to the consoles. I don't think I need to elaborate on what this means. Next link from Kotaku. Crysis developers, consoles are holding PC games back. This is a little bit of an older article, but it still holds true. The fact so many games now appear on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC is a blessing for PC gamers who used to miss out on a lot of console games. But according to Crysis developers Crytek, it's a mixed blessing. Quote, as long as the current console generation exists, and as long as we keep pushing the PC as well, the more difficult it will be to really get the benefit of both. The PC is easily a generation ahead right now, and remember, that was years and years ago. With 360 and PS3, we believe the quality of the games beyond Crysis 2 and other CryEngine developments will be pretty much limited to what their creative expressions is, what the content is. You won't be able to squeeze more juice from these rocks. The third link is an excellent article from Game On by G. Leary. Consoles holding PC back drastically. Please read at your leisure. The second article from Tweaktown talks about how Ubisoft is saying that console makers, Microsoft and Sony, are pressuring them into 30 FPS maxed games for the PC. Obviously, this is to make sure that the PC versions do not look far and perform and play far better than the console version, so people have less of a reason to go to the PC and stay on consoles. It is not a long article. Please browse it at your leisure. So after giving these 4 links, surely I said to myself, this should drive the nail into the coffin here. But not for Leo DS. No, that wasn't enough. You can pause and read this drivel if you wish, but I promise you're not missing much. The teal-deer version of it would be, those links don't mean anything, he knew I was full of shit, I'm picking up these quiet cause they fit your fucking agenda. Sorry, it's hard to read what he says. Who cares what they say? Link me a real fucking developer talking about real complaints and I'll take you seriously. Blah, blah, blah. You're going, back into my ignore list. You're not worth my time. So, with people like Leo DS, you just can't win. It's like when people come to my Twitter feed. Someone said that Halo had more players than Dota 2, and when I showed him this picture of the Dota 2 player counts, some fanboy said that doesn't show you how many people play the game. Leo DS is the same thing. You can give him all the info you want, and you can have a whole library of videos that are basically the El Dorado of pro PC information and statistics, and he'll still say, well, nuh-uh.
So yes, the most powerful cards are on the PC. This is true. But as for game development and pushing the technologies in terms of game development, I am not sure, but I don't really see that. I don't know where that came from.
Well, now you have information that I've already given to you, further explained to you. And if you're going to make a video that's a criticism of me, and your counterpoint to something I say is, I just really don't see that. I just don't know. Give me a break. Say something or keep your mouth shut.
To start off, DirectX 12 is the big technology right now.
Big technology right now? No, most games don't use it. So instead of saying, oh, I just don't really see that, I don't know where it came from, maybe you could spend 10 seconds of your life using the Google and finding out for yourself. Released games with DX12 support The Elder Scrolls Online, Gears of War Ultimate Edition, Caffeine, Battlefront, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Hitman, Ashes of the Singularity, Quantum Break, and Total War Warhammer. These are the games that currently support DX12. Oh, and one more thing. They seem to show you what platform these games appear on. Let's take a look at that list, shall we? Well, what a coinky-dink. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 9 are PC exclusives, 1 is for the Xbox, and 1 is shared by both. It's like a trend is developing. But since you didn't even have the gumption to just go to Google and click the first thing that popped up for some information, let's just look at this from a common sense perspective. If you're going to push the boundaries of technology in anything, why would you use the weakest possible example of that technology? If you're trying to see how fast you could go, are you going to use a Honda Civic or a Lamborghini? But I know that you know all games are made on PC. Just armed with this simple information, you should be able to logically deduce that obviously the vast majority of technological advancements in terms of gaming and computer tech will be made on the PC. It should be common sense.
We're talking about asynchronous compute and low-level API and stuff like that, which is an effort made by AMD because they were very good at asynchronous compute, and they are very good at low-level APIs because they had the consoles, and the consoles have always used low-level APIs because it's a fixed hardware. So it makes a lot of sense for the developers to have low-level access to the hardware instead of just talking to the API in broad levels and then the API translates that to hardware through the purely through the drivers. So this technology, DirectX 12, is not for the consoles because the consoles already had that, but it's being brought over to the PC because of the consoles.
Look, I'm not going to spend too much time on this because it gets really, really techy and a lot of people just get bored of that stuff. But let me sum it up for you here. One, I hate how he says the word consoles.
Consoles.
Ugh. It's actually kind of hard to get what he's saying here because I can't really pick out anything in what he's said that would suggest that consoles are contributing to the advancement of technology. You could stretch it, I suppose, and say that the PC creates special software that allows for games and such to run better on consoles because they're so weak. But that, to me, seems like it's creating a problem that it has to solve for itself and then attributing that to the consoles encouraging new technology development. Consoles create the problem of having locked hardware that is not very strong, and so on the PC, they have to make technology that will allow it to run better. Again, it's a problem that it creates for itself that has to be solved by the PC.
And then when we think about the games that are pushing the technological level of things forward in gaming right now, the games that are the best looking games.
Well, it's obviously it will be on PC because they have access to the highest level hardware and the most memory and all that stuff that allows them to have the most mechanics and the most things happening at one time.
I'm not going to say that they are multi-platform games.
Good, even though if they are multi-platform games, then it would be the PC versions of these games that would be pushing the envelope, especially if they're making the PC version first, then dialing it back like they should.
But I really don't know that a lot of them are exclusive for the PC.
So what you're saying is that they are exclusives for the consoles. You're saying that the console exclusive games are the games that are pushing the boundaries of technology. You might stretch it and say that only in the sense of they're able to create shortcuts to where they can do things with limited hardware. Are they pushing the boundaries of technology? But advancements are not made on the consoles. Again, see the links before.
I really don't know where that came from. I would like to know.
So you took a part in my video where I said that the PC is where most of the innovation and the pushing of technology occurs. Your response is a weak, timid, I don't know.
Because when I think about technological things and all that, like I start thinking about Assassin's Creed and...
Oh, you mean the games that run like garbage on consoles? The Assassin's Creed games. Yeah, running through the streets of Paris at 25 frames per second really pushes the envelope of gaming technology.
Call of Duty, and I don't know if Call of Duty even looks any good.
Oh, we're talking graphics now, in which case your point is even more ridiculous because you said yourself the most powerful graphics are available on the PC.
Whatever, right?
Right?
But I don't see how many PC exclusive games, mostly they are not technologically that advanced.
Yes, you are correct here, but it is meaningless in the way you're trying to say it. Most games that are made on any system do not push the boundaries of technology. Most PC exclusives are not AAA games. First off, we have to remember the PC is an open platform. It's much easier for a studio to get itself started, make a game, and publish it on Steam or any other distribution service online. And since it is an open platform, they have to sign a lot less deals in blood with Sony or Microsoft in terms of what Sony or Microsoft can do with their titles once they are put on the Xbox or the PlayStation. Let's also remember that just because a game is not a AAA development release blockbuster hit, doesn't mean that it will be bad. Production value and quality are not the same thing. That's why I can sit down and play Enter the Gungeon for almost 20 hours, but I can't get through a single day's worth of the free weekend for Black Ops 3. But when a developer is going to make a game that promises to do things that have never been done before in terms of the objective graphical fidelity of the experience, and they are allowed to choose their weapons as you will, they're not going to choose an Xbox, they're not going to choose a PlayStation, they're going to choose the PC platform where they have access to all the GTX Titans and overclocked this that they can possibly get their hands on to make the most amazing looking game humanly possible. Just think about it. If your task is to create the most graphically incredible gaming experience ever, are you going to do it with the latest hardware possibly available, or are you going to do it with a game box from 2013?
You could argue for Ashes of the Singularity with DirectX 12 and all that, but Ashes of the Singularity is a game that, for all the technology that's behind it and for how heavy it is in terms, how demanding it is, I find it strange that that game looks that bad.
Oh my god. Ashes of the Singularity is a real-time strategy game. It's not about the graphics necessarily, though I would not say it looks bad. It's a game that features a large amount of different units on the field at one time, each of them with their own AI, interacting with one another, and a lot of calculations taking place so the game can progress. The scope is what is immense, not necessarily the pixel count, not necessarily the texture detail. We also have to keep into account that Ashes of the Singularity can be potentially very CPU intensive. There's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, dear Lord, just look at how many tanks there are. Look at the goddamn tanks. And again, I'm no tech expert, but I don't have to be. All I had to do was go to YouTube, and then I found the Digital Foundry CPU about DirectX 11 and DirectX 12, and they talk about the CPUs and the GPUs and the loads and the strain and all that stuff. And bam, just one Google search, and I had journeyman's worth of knowledge on how this game is ran. 10 minutes of my life, and all of a sudden I understood something. It's like I didn't know an answer, and I went to research it.
It's something I've been thinking about for a long time.
I don't believe that for a New York minute. If you've been thinking about it for a long time, then surely you would have said, maybe I can just find out in, like 8 minutes.
But still, first I have this complaint that I was given no graph, no statistic, no information, no links, no nothing. Is there a link to this?
Well, I was kind of putting my faith in the common sense of humanity there, but clearly I have failed with you, Leo. I seem to have overestimated humanity.
Now, there are no links here, right?
Right?
What is check to self? But also, I don't believe that this is true. I don't think that technologies is not simply the graphical fidelity of a game, right?
Right.
But even in terms of graphical fidelity of the games, because the games with the biggest graphical fidelity are very expensive to make, they are usually multi-platform or on the consoles, because those are the games that generally are seeing the most sales at that price point of $70.
Has it not occurred to you that maybe the reason that multi-platform games often outsell their exclusive counterparts is because more people can buy them? Because they have potentially doubled or tripled the amount of players who can actually use the product? Has it also not occurred to you that people don't have to run games at the highest settings and the highest resolution possible? I mean, I doubt most people who play The Witcher 3 are playing it at 4K, maximum frame rate, all ultra, but you can still go there if you want to. I mean, this ties in with DirectX, which, do you even know what DirectX is?
Is Overwatch a multi-platform? Because that game sold a lot. That game sold amazing. But again, that game is not very demanding, and it doesn't have high graphical fidelity.
Well, first off, one of the reasons it was so popular was because it was Blizzard's first new IP in 17 years. Add on the fact that it's Blizzard, a very popular developer who makes excellent games. Toss in the marketing campaigns and all the hype that was behind the game, the beta, the reasons all kind of lead one to believe it would be a popular game. Plus, as for graphics, it's easy to run because, well, they want a lot of people to buy it. And because they probably had consoles in mind when they did make it. Almost all of the most popular PC games in the world can be played at very low settings if you want.
He says that if a game comes out, he wants others to play it. He says this because they're exclusives and prefers cross-platform games.
You're making it a chronic habit of saying that I said things I didn't say. I never said I prefer cross-platform games. However, every single cross-platform game that I have played on the PC and on consoles, I have preferred on the PC.
Rags, I don't think he meant that you prefer cross-platform games for the sake of the. I don't know what you. He didn't express himself very well there.
Your hour-long video is the holy grail of one's inability to express themselves.
I'm pretty sure what he means is that you prefer games to be cross-platform. But what he actually means by that is that he doesn't think you are sincere when you say that. What he believes is all you want is to be able to play all the games on your PC, and you don't really care about the consoles.
Leo, that is not what he said. You are putting words into his mouth. You are claiming to be able to read his mind. Ozzyman said a really fucking stupid thing, and here you are defending him. He said that I believe something that I do not believe. He said, quote, he says that if a game comes out, he wants others to play it. He says this because there are exclusives and prefers cross-platform games. This is not true. I know this because I know what I think. I do not prefer multi-platform games. I do not prefer exclusives either. He is saying that the reason that I want games to come out for other platforms, the reason I'm against exclusives, he says that it's because I prefer multi-platform games. The real reason is because I, with rare exception, hate exclusives. I want the widest amount, the largest pool of gamers to enjoy a game as possible. I want all platforms to have to win over customers through their own merits, not just their ability to restrict games from other people.
Oh yeah, here he goes about all the consoles he had.
The only reason PC and console are living is because of DirectX and OpenGL.
I do not see the relevance of this information.
And making a...
So, sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'll just leave this at that. Because I'll have to explain, but like Reds admits himself that there was no point to that part of the video.
No, I did not say that. I said I didn't see the point in it. I did not admit that there was no point. I said I did not see the point of discussing DirectX in this context.
So why are we forced to watch it and then to listen to Rags?
You are not forced to do anything, Leo. We're 48.5 minutes into this shitstorm of a video, and I bet most people have already bailed.
He also does this thing where he will put a PC on a pedestal. For example, he says controllers are a terrible input and keyboard and mouse are better.
Well, I say that because it's true.
Okay, so here we're way out of line. Way out of line.
No, Leo, I'm not out of line. I am telling you that the mouse and keyboard are objectively superior to the controller. I am not out of line. I am telling you a fact. One that I have explained multiple times in previous videos and one that I loathe to do yet again here.
And the reason why we are way out of line, because things are not being put into context. And this is where the conversation completely loses its weight. And this is why it's so easy to be called biased.
This is also why it's easy to be called a fool on the internet who doesn't do his research. I have proven the objective superiority of the mouse and keyboard and its ability to aim in the past, multiple times. We are 50 minutes into this video and already I am feeling an extreme hesitance to continue to hold your hand and explain things that you should have researched yourself before you did this video.
Because you're not talking about objective things and you're stating them as a fact.
If there are objective reasons why something is better, then I will call them objective reasons why something is better, and that will make it factual. You see, Leo, here's one of your biggest problems. You try to side with both sides. You try to stay on the fence. This is what I didn't like about you in the live stream that you did with Cyrus Martin. You try so hard to be fair, you are unfair, because you will not call advantages what they are, and you will not call disadvantages what they are. You're engaging in console apologetics at the expense of the truth. Leo, you don't seem to understand this makes you no more than a hollow man.
So mouse and keyboard is better, period.
With the exception being when you are steering or controlling a vehicle, yes, but even that is subjective. That's why I refer to the objective reasons why. That's why somebody could say, well, to me, it is more precise to use a keyboard and a mouse to steer.
Now, at 9 minutes in this video, I'll play this.
I've played a bit on the PS2, and I've played the Wii a whole lot. My brother bought a Wii. I played the Wii a whole lot. I also own a 3DS XL, and I have an original DS2. So I would consider myself a pretty damn well-rounded gamer.
Okay, so I'm a pretty well-rounded gamer, right? Mouse and keyboard are more precise, more efficient for winning on first-person shooters, and mostly on third-person shooters also, if the movement of, if you compare the movement of the camera with the right stick, with the movement of the camera with the mouse for aiming, obviously the mouse is way better, and you can't.
Whoa, what do you mean it's obviously better, Leo? You're way out of line. You are way out of line.
Like, there are people who want to deny that. They want to say that you can be good in a controller, or that you can be almost as good on the controller, which this is not a fact. It's not true.
What do you mean it's not a fact, Leo? I mean, so when I say it, I'm out of line. But when you say something, profess it to be true, then do you see what I have to deal with, people?
But Rex, maybe you're forgetting that not everybody plays first-person shooters exclusively.
Huh, Leo, maybe I am forgetting that not everybody plays first-person shooters only. Oh, wait, I'm not. And since I'm not, we can take your hypothetical and throw it out the window.
And maybe you're also forgetting that some people, they don't like playing with mouse and keyboard.
Oh, okay, another hypothetical about maybe I'm not thinking something. Well, you don't know what I think, so you're wasting your time in bringing it up, but I'll answer that and say, it doesn't matter what they prefer, it doesn't matter what they feel better doing. Yeah, I could enter a race in a Mazda 3, and it could be comfortable, and I could like it, I could prefer the way it feels, but I'm gonna get my ass kicked by a race car. Feelings are one thing, results are another.
When people say that something is better for gaming, they don't mean it's the most efficient.
No, Leo, that is what most people mean when they say that. I guarantee it. When people say something's better, they're talking about the efficiency of it. That's why only a fool on console says that the controller is a superior method of aiming. They'll say, well, it feels better, that's subjective, and I can't argue against that, really. At least not in a way that would objectively prove that it's false, because I can't feel what other people feel. Though in the past I have offered my skepticism at the remark, since I have used both.
It's not the one that gives you the best results, it's the one that they have the most fun playing with. Now, I personally, I don't really understand why people play games with this mindset of simply playing them and not caring about how they perform, not caring about how well they're playing, because it's a game. You're supposed to learn the game.
Second off, I would bet 95% of people out there say it's much more fun to do well and to win than it is to play a game and get your ass beat. If you were to jump into Call of Duty or Battlefield and you went 0-12 and you didn't kill any other characters and you weren't able to do anything, you just walked around and you just got shot and killed and you didn't actually get to participate much in the game, I bet most people would not find that enjoyable.
But it's not to me to tell people actually how they... Good. So, this is where... this is so important. So some people, they like playing with a controller. They want to play with a controller. They do not want to play with mouse and keyboard. So you might tell them, well, but you could play with a controller on the PC. But on the PC, if they play with a controller, they will be playing against people using mouse and keyboard. So you go play your Call of Duty, whatever. On the PC, using your controller, you're gonna get your ass handed to you.
Well, I am in favor of cross-platform play. Xbox and PlayStation, PlayStation PC, PC Xbox, everybody competing, right? It has a larger player base, it'll keep games longer, it'll potentially make these developers more money, but the console player should have the option to turn off being matched up with PC players for the sake of fairness. They can if they want to, but they don't have to. Consumers should have that choice, I think. It would be better.
Now, if you play Black Ops on the console, everybody else is using the controller. If they're not using the controller, they're using these weird mouse things that emulate a controller for the PlayStation, and the PlayStation doesn't read a mouse input, so it's laggy and it's not as good as a real mouse and keyboard. So you're playing the game with a controller because you like it, and the game is balanced for playing with a controller, and everybody's playing with a controller, so it's a level thing.
Well, PCs are balanced for everybody playing on the keyboard and mouse. If everybody's using the same input, then you don't have to balance. It's balanced by nature. I mean, if you have a racetrack and everybody is using a Ford Taurus with the same top speed, same acceleration, same everything, and the differences are just up to the drivers themselves and their skill, that's not saying the racetrack is balanced for the Ford Taurus. The balance is there on an objective level. It's just the skill of each driver that will make the difference. That's what video game balance is. It's technically not true, honest balance, but it is the best possible scenario for balance.
Everybody is equally bad. So you can't say it's bad, and also you're reinforcing one of the main reasons why a lot of people buy games or buy consoles, because they like playing with the controller.
I fail to see how a reasonably thinking individual can misconstrue anything I'm saying as a proponent for the consoles. If anything, that means you should play a PC because you don't have the objective restrictions that a controller gives you. Every player isn't being hindered by their input. They're being lifted of that ceiling, where the differences in player skill are all the more obvious, where people have the potential to do far, far better because they're using an input device that doesn't restrict them. In any event, his video is an hour long, alright? And I've gotten to an hour in my video, and I'm not going to go any further. I'm going to go ahead and draw the line here. This will be part 1. Maybe I'll make a part 2 later. This is kind of painful for me to do, because some of it is rehashing things I've already done, and his video is not the most fun thing to sift through. There's a lot of pauses, a lot of ums and uhs, and a lot of editing I have to do to get rid of all the chaff. For now, consider this part 1. If there is going to be a part 2, which I say there probably will be, it will be posted shortly, or not so shortly. You know what, I'm just not going to commit to anything right now. In any event, I need alcohol. Like, really badly.
Right?